views and opinions expressed in the following program are those of the hosts and guests, and not necessarily those of the staff and management of WWDB-TV.
There's something happening here, but what it is ain't exactly clear. There's a man with a gun over there, telling me I got to beware. I think it's time we stop, children. What's that sound? Everybody look what's going down.
Welcome, everybody, to this new show here at WWDB-TV. I think we figured out what we're going to call it. Both sides now. We kind of agreed on that. Is that what we're going to? All right, for now, that's what we're going to call it. And the purpose of the show, or the reason that we're here, is there is a lot of things going on in the world today, political, personal, whatever. And we're going to discuss those things. We're going to try to discuss them in a calm, rational manner using facts. Most of you know what that is, but for those of you who don't, please look it up. My name is John Stiles. To my left is
Bianca Valentino. Nobody knows why I'm here. Let's be fair.
We found her wandering on the streets, and she looked like she needed to get in out of the sun. So we've invited you here. So
Thanks. Yeah, I can't be in the sun.
yeah,
She's doing much better now.
beat that.
That's it? You finished? That was it?
I guess. I don't know. They gave me some water, and I'm kind of...
Oh, man.
Make it better as we progress.
Dirk Thomas, I'm a former military officer and a police officer.
We're at
Metro here,
in Las Vegas. Okay, that's cool. Yeah, and I forgot to mention, I am a Marine Corps Vietnam vet, ex-hippie, which I'm pretty proud of, so you can probably tell where my political leanings are. So we wanted to discuss issues, and I wanted to have a list when we got here today, but I used a whole tablet. There were so many things that we could talk about. So to start us off today, I'm going to let Bianca, was that your name?
Yes, that
Okay.
is my name.
All right, I'm going to let Bianca start this out. What's going on in the world today that you think we ought to be paying attention to and learning a little more about?
Well, happy Be Best Day.
Happy what?
This is a year anniversary of...
Oh, no.
Yep. Yes.
Oh, God. Are you going to start there? Okay.
Why not?
No, that's as good a place as any. Okay. Be Best Day,
I'm
yes.
much happier knowing that this is the anniversary for that.
Aren't you?
I feel more fulfilled now.
Yes.
And let's see, they just banned, Facebook just banned Farrakhan. And oh gosh,
Alex Jones.
Alex
Supposedly
Jones.
all the extremists.
Yeah.
Not Trump for some reason, but he did extend his thoughts and best wishes to everyone who's been banned for.
The interesting thing was that this was just recently that turns out half of his Twitter followers are fake.
That's what
They're not real.
That's what they're saying.
That's what they're saying. So.
But yeah, I don't know. I guess it doesn't go with the Be Best concept.
Honestly,
apologizing
I've never
to
really,
people who've been banned for hate speech. But
I've honestly never really understood that whole thing.
grammatically,
But wait.
That too.
So here
I was just going to say that was the first problem I had with it.
here's my question: why should we listen to an immigrant?
I don't know. I guess I should just leave now.
Well, no. I mean, so we've got an immigrant telling us that we should be better. But aren't we trying to keep them out?
What is it? Be better?
What's this we stuff?
I mean, you're right. You're right. There are some amongst our population, okay, who want to keep out, which also brings me to open borders. That all of the liberals want open borders. Now, I know a
Do
lot of
they?
liberals.
I mean, that's a libertarian kind of idea. I don't know about Democrats.
Everything that I
or-
read, the liberals want open borders. The liberals want to take your guns. The liberals want to do this, and none of the liberals I know. Maybe
None
I just
of the
don't.
liberals I know.
Yeah, maybe I mean,
The
They
only
don't want
people
open borders.
the only
No,
people I've
no.
heard talk about wanting open borders are libertarians.
okay. Well, they're whacked anyway. Sorry, no name calling. Some of my best friends are libertarians, sir.
However, all of the people who are saying that once they decided to bus everyone to sanctuary cities,
Yeah.
everyone's been saying that, oh, like they really stuck it to the liberals and liberals don't want this and so on. Let's see, I think it's been 2 weeks now, I think, since I was in Albuquerque, which is somewhere that
Right.
people are being bused to. They're not told where they're going. They think they're being taken back down to Mexico. And
Are they
There's-
just being dumped there?
they are basically being dumped there, but
I mean, they're not
There's-
taken to another facility or just.
no, they're just
Okay, bus ride's over. Get off.
they're let off. But there's a Jewish temple in Albuquerque, and
Okay.
also Catholic charities have been going to meet these people. They take them to a motel. They've got clothes for these people. They're pitching in and helping out. So it's not as though everyone in the sanctuary cities is just pissed off and not helping. It was nice to see that while I was out there.
Well, and that's the thing too. We see all this crap. We see a lot more crap in the news than we see the good things that are happening. Castillo's mom, you know, and it's a great thing on one hand, but it's like this is the society that we have, that you have to do this. For those of you who don't know,
Why should it even have to be done?
yeah, has donated. She collected $8,000 and donated it to the high school to pay off the lunch bills of seniors who would not be allowed to graduate because they owed the cafeteria money for buying their lunch. And stories like the kid who has the Kool-Aid stand to raise money for his little sister's medical bills, or those kind of things, or the GoFundMe stuff that we say, oh wow, that's really cool. No, it's not. That's bullshit. I mean, the fact that this is the lengths that you have to go to be healthy in this country. Look at the people can't afford their insulin. All of it. Sorry,
No, it's,
see how easy it is.
It was very interesting. I saw a thing on Facebook where they were talking about the I know people don't believe half the stuff they see on Facebook.
Yeah, but
this
the
one was
thing is,
actually
if
fairly
you can
legit.
check the facts.
Right. This was fairly legit. They were basically talking about the price of medicine, 60 years ago, 50,
Right.
60 years ago, and how much it's gone up in cost.
You mean the
Until
cost to
now.
produce or the cost to purchase?
No, the cost to purchase.
Right.
The cost to produce hasn't changed.
Right.
And most people don't even know that insulin was given
Freely.
for free,
Right.
and the price of insulin
The two
has gone
doctors,
up.
the two doctors that came up with that gave it free.
Right.
They didn't patent it. They didn't charge anything for it. They said, we want to help people. And the big drug companies, and look at the drug companies now that are jumping on the cannabis bandwagon, and It's like, no, you can't grow it in your backyard, but we're going to make this pill, and you can buy this pill from us. So
Well, you also have to remember that a lot of those pharma companies were fighting the legalization of cannabis.
well,
And then until they could get their feet in the door, and now they're okay with it.
Right.
But now they're trying to take it over from everybody else.
okay, and this is a great opportunity because you are a former Metro police officer. I'm not going to say cop or nothing like that, but I'll say police officer out of respect.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. So there are a number of police officers now who are or own part of these dispensaries in town that were very vocal against it. Now, part of some of the things that I've heard, and maybe you can help us out here, is that if you got rid of, or by getting rid of all of the, you don't have to bust people for pot or for possession or whatever, you're going to lose a lot of overtime. The prisons are going to lose a lot of inmates. You know, is that, I mean, how much time did you spend? I don't know what you did as a police officer, but how much time did you spend in the drugs, you know?
Practically
Area.
zero.
Really? Okay. What exactly did you do as a police officer? I mean, were you a patrolman driving
Well,
around in a car,
I
or?
worked as a patrolman for 2 years,
Okay.
and then I was in recruiting for 3.5 years, and then I was in the detective bureau. But I did. I was in the juvenile detail for 4 years, and then I was in sexual assault. So this thing about drugs, I'm really ambivalent on that stuff, especially marijuana,
Yeah.
and always was. I don't do it myself.
Right.
And you know, I was a military brat, so my dad was a military officer. You know, that would have been really frowned upon.
Yeah.
So that's just not something that I ever felt like I wanted to be part of or participate in. But I also feel like if you have other people and they want to do that, it's whatever.
Well, it's
because we've got
how many
that
people
drink
have
all the
died?
time.
Yeah, that's what I mean. How many people have died, and there was the one chief of police that was really pro cannabis and saying, you know, hey, they just want to get high, have some chips, and watch cartoons. You know, they you know, they're not going to be shooting at us or.
Now there's other police officers that may have different experience,
Right.
but that was my experience.
Yeah.
Usually when they were high, they weren't bothering anybody.
Yeah.
They were just over in the corner.
Right.
Just
There have been
doing-
no overdoses on cannabis.
Right.
You know,
but now drunks, you know, some of the other drugs.
right. Meth and all that shit. That's some serious
Yeah.
shit.
Right,
so.
and I don't know. There are still places that are the cops and whoever emergency services aren't allowed to carry Narcan.
Really?
Because just fuck you. If you did drugs, fuck you.
Wow.
Wow.
Like, you broke the law, we're not going to help you.
Yeah.
Yeah, but now, so how do they reconcile the idea that there's a possibility that somebody might get a drug
Accidentally.
involuntarily,
Right.
or accidentally?
And
How do they reconcile that? You know, how do they
I
reconcile
don't know.
the fact?
I think it's fucked up to begin
Yeah,
with.
I agree.
I don't-
How do they reconcile the fact that some lady might go to a party and some guy slips or something?
Right.
How do you deal? Really?
yeah.
Come on.
But that goes. It shows that we really don't think this shit through. That,
No,
that
I
we
mean,
are.
here is-
No, I
could go
disagree
get-
with you. I think they do think it through.
No. I
think-
mean the general population.
But the people that are making these rules and regulations,
That's correct.
They thought it through,
You're
because
damn right.
basically what they're saying is that we believe either this religiously or this politically. Fuck you.
Yeah.
That's the way it's going to be. And we're going to make that rule. You live by it.
Yeah.
Here
Because
in
who-
Nevada, it's pretty great. Like, I got Walgreens gave me Narcan after my hysterectomy, just in case I accidentally took too much of my my hydrocodone or whatever it was that they gave me. Like, I wrote it all down every time I took it, so
Right.
I didn't make any mistakes. But they gave me Narcan just in case.
Right.
So
I just
don't
think
know.
we have too many
I guess
people
we're
that-
pretty good about it here in Nevada, but there are states
Well-
where you are not allowed to carry that.
And I understand that, because my personal belief is that everybody should believe the exact same thing that I do. And if you don't, you're an idiot and you do not belong in this country. And that's what gets me. It's that attitude.
Such an American, man. It just warms my heart.
Yeah. It's you know, we want religious things taught in school, but which religion? As soon as somebody else says, well, if you're going to teach Christianity, what about Judaism? What about...
Because this is our Christian nation.
But it's not a Christian
But it's
nation.
not a Christian
Oh
nation.
no, but
It's
I mean, I
And-
hear
and-
that.
and
I hear
even
it
always
by-
cracked me up,
constantly.
yeah.
Right.
I hear it constantly, especially when I go to like central committee meetings, and they're like
So then if...
pledging whatever. They do a prayer to start,
Right.
and I don't
Then
know.
take
like-
away the church's tax exemption.
Exactly.
It,
But
yeah,
but I've always felt that.
Yeah,
I
me
don't-
too.
I don't think churches should get a tax exemption.
right.
It's just like any other business, as far as I'm concerned.
Yep. Well, it is, and that's...
And when
you
you
hit
sit
that
there
on
and-
the head.
when you
It's
can
a
sit there
business.
and look at these ministers with their own private airplanes and their mansions.
Well, yeah, but that's because God doesn't talk to you if you're in coach or whatever. You have to be in...
Apparently not.
Yeah, so...
That guy actually said that.
I know.
He actually
Wait,
said
what?
that because
was-
he said demons fly on the airlines, and if he's not flying and
With his own jet,
with his own jet,
right, that God won't talk to him while he's on a commercial
No, no.
airline.
Who said
No.
this? Like Joel Osteen or something?
No,
I-
one of those...
Yeah, I can't remember which one it was, and I can't remember whether it was white or black because they really don't. It doesn't really make that much difference.
I know anymore, yeah.
All of them are just nuts as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, he was actually saying that he couldn't be on a commercial flight because demons. And I'm not necessarily sure I disagree with that because I've been on commercial flights. There's some crazy ass people on those flights. However,
And how about the ones that...
you would think he would have more protection
Yeah.
against the demons than us regular people.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
He
And-
must
and-
have
and what
watched
about
that
the-
show Preacher.
How about the
Or
man?
Lucifer.
I wish I'd have looked this up and written it down. You may already know this. The one of the reps or House of Representatives or senators in Congress that was saying that anti-Trump people were actually demons from another dimension.
Yeah, I remember seeing.
You remember that?
It's true.
Yeah, I know it's true. And I wish I could go back to that dimension.
Right. Right behind you.
Yeah.
I don't understand where this big push on religion in politics has come from. It's just it's
Mike
really
Pence.
kind of but it was before that. This has
No,
been
no,
going
no,
on.
and you're right.
It's been going on for a
You're
while.
right.
And,
Wait. Look when Kennedy was elected and people were freaking out because he was
because he's
Catholic.
Catholic. Right. Yeah, that's true.
We're going to have the Pope running the country now. Holy crap. You're not old enough to
I-
remember that. Right? When
No,
John F.
I-
Kennedy was elected, when he
yeah.
was running, he was a Catholic, and there were people out there that were freaking out because they thought if he got elected, that the Pope of the Catholic Church was actually going to be running this country. And as it turns out, it was Putin. So. And that's another thing, right?
Well,
Russian Orthodox Church.
Yeah, that's it.
I was at a political event right after Trump was elected, and they were talking about, isn't it great now we can all say Merry Christmas again? And this was around Christmas time, so everybody was really amped up about being able to say, and they're all talking to me.
Right, and that's a slap in
As-
the face
and-
to Jews.
I'm like,
hold on.
I don't really care.
I want to ask both
but
of you guys
I'm
a
not-
question.
Okay.
I,
Yeah, please.
honestly, When have you ever heard it wasn't okay to say Merry Christmas?
I've never heard that.
I've never heard it in my entire life.
Right.
I've
I
never
tell
heard
people
anybody
that
tell
every day.
It's a lot of businesses and things like that told their employees, don't say Merry Christmas, say Happy Holidays, because we have Jewish customers, we have Christian customers, we have Buddhist customers, and
and you can't tell which is which.
you're
so,
being that's right. So you are being inclusive, not
yeah.
exclusive.
But
I think my nose is a dead giveaway. But
Well, I think
See,
mine
now
is too.
I never thought I never thought of you as Jewish.
But it doesn't.
thank you.
But it doesn't.
No.
It doesn't matter.
No, that's what I mean. No, and that's my point.
But no,
That's my
I mean,
point. Is
but
that
they
you
all-
cannot tell by looking at someone what religion they are,
Right.
Right.
unless they're wearing a turban. And then you know that they could be Sikh, they could be, there's half a dozen there, so you really can't tell.
Right,
Well,
but
no, 'cause the
for
average
some
person that sees
reason
anybody
I
wearing
was
something here, they're a
included
terrorist.
in
Yeah.
this conversation, and then when I said this isn't really a problem that I've faced. I'm Jewish, and so happy Hanukkah. And when I was leaving the party, I was walking out to my ride, and this lady opens the door and yells out to me, "Merry Christmas!" And I was like, wait, if this is actually, if Merry Christmas is actually, an insult or something that you hurl at people, maybe let's just keep Merry Christmas off the board.
I like that.
I've always just, even from the time I was a kid, I've always just felt that if you have a religion or a religious practice that is so awesome that you want to share it with everybody, that you think everybody should be part of it, then you just live that. And people are going to
Be
look at you
an
and say,
example.
I want to be like that guy.
That's exactly right.
That
Be an
guy's
example.
awesome.
Right.
Why do you have to beat somebody across the head with your religion if it's that good?
This goes back to my days as a kid, and I believe it's from the Sermon on the Mount, where Christ
When you were a kid?
Yeah, when I was a kid, yeah.
Yeah, that's a long time ago, Sermon on the Mount.
Hey, saw it firsthand.
Yeah, that's what I was
And I can't believe how brown he was. but I think it's from the Sermon on the Mount. I know if I'm wrong, somebody will write in and say you're full of crap. But where Christ was talking about when you pray, go to your closet, pray in your closet, pray by yourself. If you pray in public, that's the reward that you're going to get. People are going to think, oh, you're pious. Oh, he's a great guy, because look, he's praying. But that's not the purpose of prayer. Do it when nobody's watching. And it's just like charitable acts. In my book, if you do something that's charitable and then you tell everybody about it, you just blew the whole thing. If you're going to do good stuff, just do it. Shut your mouth and just do it.
In Judaism, there are tiers of charity.
Right.
If you do something charitable for somebody, and they know that you did it, and you know that you did it for them, it's still a good thing.
Right.
But it's better if you do something for somebody and they don't know who did it.
Right.
So you don't get that pat on the back and whatever. And then the highest thing that you can do is to do something for somebody who doesn't know that you did it, and you don't actually know who the benefactor
Right,
or
beneficiary
who that
was.
went to.
That's cool. That's kind of like I've always liked
you
the
should do
concept
all
of
those
paying it
things,
forward.
but-
Well, it's interesting because I had a conversation with somebody on Facebook the other day, and they were saying that one of the worst things in the world is to do something really nice for somebody, and then they reject you or they don't appreciate it or whatever. And I thought about that, and I go, no, you do nice things for people because you're a nice person.
Yeah.
That's the only reason why you
Right,
should
you're not
do it.
doing
You
it
should
for a
not expect-
reward.
Yeah, you should not expect
Right.
anything back in return. And if you do, then you're not really doing a nice thing. You're just doing something that's PR.
Right.
you know,
That's
public
exactly right.
relations,
Yeah, you're
okay?
doing PR.
So I said, but if you do nice things for people constantly and they always reject you or they're always not appreciative of what you're doing, then you have to set up your boundaries.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
why am I going to keep doing something nice for somebody who doesn't appreciate it? I'm going to spend that time and effort on somebody else.
Right.
Whether they know about it or not. You know,
Sure.
I'm not doing it because I want everybody to think I'm just a wonderful, great guy or whatever. I'm doing it because this person needs the help. But I'm not going to keep doing it for the same person who's constantly looking me in the face and going, I don't care about your stuff. Gimme, 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 gimme.
I want to
Set
talk.
boundaries.
I want to talk about John Kelly.
Yeah, that was kind of weird.
You know who John Kelly was, right?
I don't
One of
think
Trump's
I
chief
do.
of staff for a while there.
Oh, okay.
You know. So
I thought this was somebody we all personally knew.
no. This is
We got to work on your segues, by the way.
yeah. Work on segues. Yeah. It's so John Kelly leaves the White House. He is now
Nobody does that.
well, he did.
Yeah, he
And he
didn't have
stepped
much
into a
choice.
very nice position as one of the board members of one of the companies that houses the immigrant children. So, and part of the whole policy was his idea of separating families, taking the kids, putting them in, you know, and it's just, I feel the same way about that as I do for-profit prisons for profit. That's it's all of the I don't know, maybe 10 years ago, where that judge was busted for the juveniles, sending them to this facility.
Wasn't that long ago.
Wasn't
Matter
it?
of fact,
This
one
just
of them
happened really
one of them
recently.
one of them just got.
Yeah, there was
sentenced.
a couple of reasons, but
About
there
a
was
week
one,
ago.
yeah, that basically he was all of these juvenile offenders. He was busting them and sending them to this facility because he owned stock in the facility. Was getting a kickback for every kid that went in there. So, you know, and that's what we've gotten away from as a country. You know, we used to be. I mean, we're still pretty good, but we used to be the best at just about everything. At manufacturing, at research, at development. What have we done lately as a nation, as a country, to better the world? We're not going to the
Well-
moon. We're not going out into space.
Well, where I thought you were going with that is that what stopped us from being the best? Where did we start this long decline? Money.
The almighty dollar. Money in politics.
You know, we keep talking about how capitalism, we're a capitalist country, and how capitalism is this, that, and the other, but it doesn't make any difference whether you're Republican or Democrat, whether you're Jewish, Congregationalist, Catholic. It doesn't make any. If you go to the extreme with whatever you believe, there's a problem.
Right.
And I think that that's what's happened with capitalism. Basically, money solves everything. That's the way people believe now.
Right.
We're at the point now where if you meet somebody and they're poor, you look at them as less of a person than somebody who's got money. And I've literally seen people do that.
Right.
Oh, that guy's got money. You know, he must be nice. No, he's probably an asshole.
Yeah.
You know, you can't look at it because he's
and-
got money, and you're literally making a judgment about this person's moral character or his intelligence because he has money. What? How do we get this bad?
You were in the military. Did you spend any time in Germany?
Yes.
Okay,
I lived there.
I was told this, and I or read it or something, so I'm going to ask you if you can confirm it. My understanding was that, and I think it's Germany, is that if you have a job, any kind of a job, regardless of what it is, whether it's flipping burgers or you know, being an engineer, that you got the same respect, regardless of what you're. In other words, it's not because you're an engineer, you're more important than the guy flipping burgers. So, I had heard that was
I can neither confirm or deny this.
Okay.
I do know that the time I spent in Germany was some of the best years of my life.
Right.
I loved the country. I had no problems with anybody. I had one incident in Germany which was actually kind of funny. I had a group of friends of mine, and the one guy who could, the one American who spoke German was a black guy. And he was trying to talk to this older gentleman because he's trying to come down these stairs, and we were trying to help him. We had gone to a symphony. And the guy just looked at him like he couldn't understand anything that he said. And so after this whole incident was done, one of our other friends, who was actually German, she was saying that he couldn't understand you because he grew up in the era where black people were considered inferior.
Yeah.
And because
He could not comprehend.
He could not wrap his mind around the fact that a black man was speaking German to him. He couldn't get it. So it literally didn't register on it.
Yeah.
One thing in Europe that, like, still is strange. Well, that's in Europe, people don't ask you what you do for a living. If you meet somebody, they don't
Right.
ask you that, which people here generally
Yeah, what do you
ask
do?
that upon meeting them, and it's always just seemed really strange and uncomfortable to me.
When
And
people
I-
ask you what you do or what do you do for a
Yeah,
living?
like hi,
I agree.
like hi, I'm Frank. What do you do for a living?
Yeah.
And
Not
it's
who are
just
you as a
always-
person? How
Right.
do you treat other people? What's your character like? Are you an honest person? What do you do for a living?
Right, not even like, oh, who do you know
But
at the party? What brought you
right.
here?
Is that
Right.
socialization or I mean, is that something that we are, I think we are taught as kids that I know, when my parents were impressed by people who, had good jobs or made good money or whatever on television or whatever in the news, or you get an education, make a lot of money, be important, or we were kind of socialized to do that and believe it.
Well,
Is that true?
And in so many ways, you and I were both in the military,
Right.
And it's really interesting. One of the biggest issues that I had with the military, and one of the reasons why I ended up getting out eventually, is because as an officer, I was not allowed to fraternize
With the enlisted.
with the enlisted people.
Right.
But the enlisted people were the people I liked.
Yeah.
They were the ones that worked the hardest. Most of them were really intelligent. They were more interesting. I don't want to sit around and talk with a bunch of guys who, because they're college educated, think they're better than everybody
Right.
else and are snotty about it.
And most of them cheated their way through college anyway. So
Whatever.
no. That's actually,
But it was fascinating to me that and most of them really believe that. Well, I'm an officer, so I'm better than, no, you're not better than that.
Right.
This guy has been in the military for 20 or 30 years. You're a lieutenant. You don't know shit.
yeah.
You know literally nothing. And not only that, but a lot of the enlisted people had degrees. They had college degrees.
Right.
Some of them even had master's degrees.
I had just gotten back from Vietnam, and I was stationed at El Toro in Southern California. And I was assigned, I was in the air wing. So I was assigned to a squadron, and it's called station weapons. What I did in the military was anything that goes bang on an airplane. That was my job. The guns, the rockets, all of that shit. So I had less than a year, maybe just right at a year left to do when I got back. And the commanding officer of that particular shop that I was in was a lieutenant who had just gotten out of school, officer training. And he hated me like you would not believe, because I always used to, my fault, I always used to snicker at him because he would say some of the stupidest things. And I would always think, just wait, sucker. Just wait. And so I got into a little bit of trouble because of my fondness for narcotics. I literally carried 10 pounds of weed back from Vietnam with me. And so, back then, this was 66,
Just
67.
helping out an immigrant, that's all.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, so I got busted, and I went before, what office hours are. So I had office hours, which is like a mini court martial, and I go before the colonel, and up to that point, I had 4950 proficiency in conduct marks for 3 years. And so the colonel says, Stiles, I think you just got in with a bad crowd. He says, I'm going to give you a break. He says, I'm going to give you a 30-day suspended bust, and I want you to go to these drug lectures for the next couple months. So my Captain France was there, my OIC officer in charge, and he says to the colonel, "Sir, I think this man ought to be in Leavenworth. He needs to go to prison. He needs to learn his lesson." And the colonel just looked at him and says, "Well, Captain, that's why I'm the colonel and you're the captain." So a month later, Captain France gets orders to Vietnam. And I'm like, yeah! So I know that, it's like they're, but speaking
Is that where
of,
you made all your friends?
yeah. We talk about immigrants coming in and taking our jobs. Nobody is taking our jobs.
Oh man,
They are being given away. Because I was in
But here's the
construction
thing,
most of my life.
Because you brought up Germany, and
Right.
that was very interesting because when the years that I lived in Germany, they were just starting to have the big push with the neo-Nazis coming back again. And the reason for that was when Germany was very, very affluent, everybody had a job. Everybody made money.
Right.
And there was no problem.
Right.
They didn't want those jobs. They had all these Eastern Europeans coming in. They had people from the Middle East.
Yeah.
They wanted those people to do those jobs because they didn't want them. Then when the German economy started tanking, now everybody's pissed off.
Exactly.
If
But the thing is, they're not
immigrants-
going to go do those jobs anyway.
Right.
You're not going to get some white guy out in the field picking lettuce or
Right.
apples or any of that shit.
Now supposedly we're
If
losing all kinds
immigrants
of vegetables.
are drug dealers and rapists, and you're worried about them coming here and taking your job,
Yeah, what kind of
maybe-
job do you need to get a better job?
yeah, maybe.
But it's who's
get
hiring?
out of
No, but
that.
who's hiring them?
I find that funny as one part of it, but the other part of it is that if you're a drug dealer or whatever and they're taking your job, then you just weren't a good businessman.
Yeah,
I mean, really? I mean,
Yeah,
get
yeah.
your shit together.
yeah.
Maybe just
You got your own gang.
don't
Take
be
care
a
of it.
drug dealer and a rapist anymore and go work in IT. Like, something.
Oh man, but yeah, that whole thing with them.
But how come we're not going after the guys that hire the illegal aliens?
I'm glad you brought that up because that
Because
is.
I've been in construction most of my life.
This is the single biggest argument I've had with these people. It annoys me when they start talking about these immigrants, and I go, "You're sitting there and you're vilifying these immigrants as if they're these evil people that are coming here to steal your job."
Right.
And they're working
what-
in fields and being
Yeah,
horribly
but the part you don't
abused by
understand,
the
the part you don't get is the people that own those industries, those sewing factories or the restaurants or the
Construction
farms
companies.
or the ranches. Those people have actively been going out and getting those people and bringing them in. You know why they did that? Because they didn't want to pay an American a fair wage.
That's exactly
That's
right.
why they did it. And so for you guys to sit there and get pissed off at the immigrants, but you're not pissed off at the people who actually started the problem,
Who are making the profit?
who are making
Because that money is going in their pocket, not your pocket.
And not only are they making the profit,
Right.
but they're also helping stir the pot against the immigrants.
Yeah.
That I just find that utterly fascinating that people completely just don't even think about that aspect of it.
And they say that they're a burden on our system, but if you have, let's just take 100 illegal aliens, right, who come in and they get some kind of a Social Security or whatever card, some fake stuff. So they're collecting a wage and they're getting that money taken out, the income tax is taken out, and they will never get the benefit of that.
Right.
That goes into the pot.
Right.
And nobody's going to collect on it. So,
Go ahead.
No, just that those people are so terribly abused.
Yeah, most of them are practically slave labor.
yeah, they are. We were right here in town some years ago. I built a lot of multifamilies, and I'm towards the end of the day, and I'm going through the site, just kind of checking everything, getting everything locked up. And there's this kid, he's probably 18, 19, 20 years old, and he's sitting on the floor in one of the units that was being drywalled. And, I started talking to him and, hey, come on, it's time to go. Well, he gets up. He'd been stabbed. Somebody had stabbed him. And I said, holy shit, man, come on, I take you to the doctor. I got to call an ambulance. No, and takes off because he's afraid of getting busted. So all this shit about them going to getting all this medical treatment and free and shit like that, I haven't seen any evidence of it. So maybe it's true.
Well,
maybe that is true, but I have not seen.
Well, they were talking about how some of them, how they put taxes back into it, how they buy stuff in the economy,
Right.
how much they contribute. So I'm not really sure I understand what their real argument is for. And I think that's one of the reasons why somebody whose name will remain unnamed was bringing up the fact that they were rapists and murderers and drug dealers and stuff like that, because they had to vilify them in some way. Because
Right.
that's not the experience with most of them. Most of them are there to do a job,
provide for their family.
for a much cheaper price
Right.
than the average American. So
Right.
when you say that there's some foreign kid out there who stole your job, he didn't steal your job.
Right.
He was deliberately given that job by somebody who didn't want to give you a job. That's the way that works.
That's exactly right.
And people think that they're getting, SNAP, EBT benefits and stuff, which has never been the case. That's
No.
never ever been available
Wait.
to undocumented people.
Look at Kentucky.
But also that whole, the fact that exists actually puts a ton of money back into our economy.
Right.
The state of Kentucky has one of the highest rates of people on assistance, of SNAP.
Mitch McConnell.
Mitch
One
McConnell's
of my
state.
favorite people.
Now, the interesting thing about that also is that over 90% of those people are white. And they keep voting for this guy. So, it's just, when did we get to the point where we believe all the bullshit, where we stop thinking for ourselves and go, wait a minute, that doesn't make sense?
Well, it's interesting because we don't
people
ask the
say-
right questions too.
Right. And when somebody says that they love the uneducated,
Well, yeah.
Well.
Yeah,
then you're like, oh, well, great. He's all for me.
And it's fascinating to me why we just don't ask basic questions. Because if the average American asked just basic questions, you would go, what the hell? How much money does a congressman or senator make? What's their salary?
To be honest with you, I don't know, but I think it's somewhere in like 120 after they've been there, 120
So
a year.
Well, just for the sake of argument, we'll just
Right.
say it's right around 200 grand.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
How do you end up getting a 200 grand salary every year
And become a
and
millionaire.
become a multi-millionaire
Yeah.
by the time you leave office?
Yeah.
How does that work?
You just need
quite
to
well,
write a
as a
book,
matter of fact.
Okay? Can you please just write a book?
Just write a book.
Why has this never occurred to you?
Why is what never?
No, that's the
Writing
title
a
of the book.
book.
writing.
Oh, but yes.
Oh, you mean why hasn't-
why has this never occurred to you by Dirk Thomas?
What I did? Yeah, I mean,
I will
Well,
run out by that one.
and we're okay with a president that since he began his term has told over 10,000 verifiable lies. We're okay with that.
it's funny because we had this conversation when I was in the military a long time ago, and I was saying that I find it fascinating how we have gotten to the point to where because a person has a position of influence, we give them a pass. When to me, it should be exactly the opposite.
Exactly the opposite.
I've always felt that if I was a police officer and I got caught doing something wrong, I probably should get double the penalty.
Exactly.
Because I knew what the law was and I broke it on purpose.
So if you're driving down the freeway and you're going through a construction zone and they've got signs, fines doubled in this area, it should be the same thing for whether it's a police officer or somebody
You're
in
a
the middle.
judge and you're actually selling. You're basically selling kids into slavery.
Yeah.
You should get double
Right.
the penalty. But the point I'm trying to make is that we have given all these people a pass because they're influential or because they're rich or whatever the reason is. And so over the years, basically you have kids that are looking at this stuff and they go like, well, why should I tell the truth? Why should I be honorable?
Exactly.
Why should I do anything good for anybody because it doesn't pay? These guys get to do whatever they want to, whenever they want to whoever they want to, and they get away with it. They don't even have to go to jail.
Yeah.
They don't even have to pay fines half the time.
Look
You
at the
know,
guys that it's what 2 or 3 times now, and that have the was it the bus driver that raped that 14-year-old?
Oh yeah, that's so weird.
And doesn't even get any fucking jail time.
a guy that rapes a girl, he has her in a dog cage.
Yeah.
No jail time.
Yeah, that's
Pedophiles, no jail time.
Yeah,
Are you fucking kidding me?
The politicians that are getting busted, the ones that are screaming about the transgenders and the LGBT, and are getting busted for being caught with kids
Right.
or
And we give them all a pass.
yeah.
We
We need to burn their ass.
I don't understand.
If you want to make America great again, then fucking get your shit together, assholes.
or if you don't.
Sorry,
think
no
it's
name
great,
calling on
go
this show.
Somewhere else.
Yeah, I just want people to. I grew up as a military brat, and so and I grew up studying martial arts, and so I've always been preached to about honor, being an honorable person, being a good
Duty,
person,
honor.
duty, honor,
Yeah.
and commitment, and
He
to
said
see all these
duty.
things now turn into they're just words.
Yeah.
They're just words. If you want to see these words now, go buy a fucking thesaurus, because that's the only place you're gonna see it.
Yeah.
And people do stuff, and they will literally lie to you, and then they'll come back and lie and say they didn't do it, even though you have it on tape.
Yeah.
That makes no sense.
I never said that.
Because you could literally, they lie when they don't have to lie. Nobody even cares about what and they lie about it. I mean, all you have to do is say, yeah, I made a mistake. I would have more respect for you.
Yeah.
They can't even do that.
I think you and I talked about this once before, and that, it goes back to, well, that's what the time was like back then. Well, yes, it was. I mean,
Oh,
when I
man.
grew up, I have said and done a lot of things that I am absolutely ashamed of now. When it comes to race or the way you treat women or whatever. And I don't give a shit what it was like then. What's it like now? Why can we not respect each other and treat each other as equals and not, I mean, I know that because of indoctrination that I had, my grandfather was a big fucking racist. Huge. And so every time I have a thought and I go, wait a minute, is this me, or is this the indoctrination that I received from my grandfather and my,
Right. I'm always
my-
interviewing people who will rant and rave about the good old days, and your kids could go out and play in the yard and walk over to their friend's house, and you didn't have to worry about anything happening to them, which isn't true. There
That's
just
bullshit.
wasn't 24-hour news
Right, we
coverage.
we weren't aware of it as much. So,
Right. But they just want to go, it's like, oh, we've got to get back to the good old days, like when we had separate water fountains.
Okay, so
and you could play in your
this
friend's
country,
yard.
that we live in today, in my entire life, I cannot remember us not being in some kind of war.
Right.
For maybe a couple of years, 2, 3, 4 years, where we weren't in the middle of some shit in the world, and then and look at the other countries in the world, developed countries, that where are they putting their money? Where are they putting their efforts? They're putting their efforts into making the earth a better place. And I know that every time some people hear you say that, they think, "Well, you're nuts." No, I'm not. It's not bullshit. We can make it a better place. We can do something about it. And yeah, I'm only one guy, but you know what? I can influence 2 other people right here
I
just by
always
not
have
being an
to
asshole.
Remind those people of all the racist bullshit that we were doing and
Yeah.
whatever back in the good old days.
Yeah.
Well,
It's the same as people who like rant and rave about vaccines and all of this, and how we didn't used to have all these vaccines and GMO food and blah blah whatever. And yeah, we lived to the ripe old age of died in childbirth.
Yeah. Well, and that's another
Okay.
thing too. That here we
The
are.
ripe old age of dying
Here,
of
here we
childbirth. I
are.
like
Here
that.
we are. The one of the most developed countries in the world, and we have the highest infant mortality rate
Yes.
and mothers
That's-
dying in birth during
Yeah,
birth.
that's so weird.
The highest in the entire world.
And pay more for health care than anybody
Yeah.
else.
I am blessed because all of my health care comes from the VA.
Yeah.
So when you're talking about Medicare for all, that's what I'm getting from the Veterans Administration. And it is the best health care here in Nevada that I have ever had in my entire life with any private insurance. I mean, I don't know about your experiences here.
No,
but the people that
we're very fortunate here.
Oh, hell yes, because I know there are other places in the country.
Amazing, but the VA and a lot of the other places is horrible. Like in Arizona, when the guys were dying dropping like flies.
Yep. And I'm not saying
or
it's
the
not
other week when I can't
the
remember
guy
if it was
committed suicide.
and he was the third one that week.
That's true.
All right. Well,
and that only got.
I'm sorry, but we got to wrap this up. Hopefully, the three of us will come back next week, and we'll try not to be as one-sided, since this is going to be called Both Sides now. But we'll have some guests. We'll talk about pretty much anybody out there watching this. You can go to our website, which is WWDBTV.com, and you can click on the contact button and leave us messages. Tell us what you like, what you don't like. If you want to be a guest,
Oh man, that's gonna be me.
that's going to be you.
It's gonna be me. The things that they don't like.
And Bianca is spelled B-I-A. But seriously, we do want to make a difference. We do want to make whatever we're doing or wherever we're at better. That's what we're trying to do. We're not trying to put anybody down. They're doing a good enough job themselves. No, I'm sorry. Any guys?
No, but that's a very important point. I'm glad you're telling them that, because we want to do the show to make things better.
Right.
So if you're just calling to bitch or complain or whatever, you got a solution, give us a solution.
That's the key.
Yeah.
If you have something that you want to bitch about, show us a solution. And not locking up little kids in a cage.
Or correct us if we've got something wrong.
If we
I
get
don't
something
like to be
wrong, and that's the thing. I there's another show on here that from time to time after the show is over, I never correct them on the camera, but after the show is over, as I say, hey guys, what you said here is not true. It's not correct, and you know, we don't want to blow our credibility, and we're not. I'm not the smartest guy in the world. I've been around.
That's for damn sure.
Yeah,
I didn't want to bring that up.
No, thank you. I appreciate you going along with that. And so, but I pay attention, and I ask questions, and that's what we should all be doing. We should be asking questions. Why are we letting these people get away with this? So anyway, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Any last words or words of wisdom or
Last words.
just for today,
You
for the
really
show?
are getting rid of me.
No. Just for today.
Kind of scared me a little bit too.
You are welcome to be here as long as you want to be here.
Woohoo! All right. I'll stick with that.
Okay. Dirk?
No, I just hope that you guys have solutions that you want to bring up, that we can talk about, subjects that you want to talk about, things that are going to make the world a better place. That's what I want to hear.
I'm going to go back to this. I do not mean this in any kind of a sarcastic way or whatever. And I think you'll understand when I say that. Can't we all just get along? And we're done. That's it. We're out of here. We're too hip. We got to go. We'll see you next week, unless we all end up in jail or something. So thanks for tuning in, and let us know what you think. Bye.
You know,
There's something happening here. What it is ain't exactly clear. There's a man with a gun over there, telling me I've got to beware. I think it's time we stop, children. What's that sound? Everybody look what's going